कृष्ण कीर्तन गान नर्तन प्रभु प्रेमामृतम बनिधि धीर धीर जन प्रिय प्रिय करो पूजित श्री चैतन्य कृपा भरऊ भुवि भुव भारा वहन तारक वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुगो श्री जीव गोपालक वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुगो श्री जीव गोपालक कृष्ण कीर्तन गान कीर्तन गान नर्तन परम प्रेम मृतम वीर वीर जन प्रिय प्रिय करो निर्मा पूजित चैतन्य कृपा भरऊ श्री चैतन्य कृपा भरऊ भुवि भुव मारव अंतरक वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुगौ श्री जीव गोपालक विचारणैक निपुणः सद्धर्म संस्थापकः लोकानां हितकारिणः त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरण करो विचारणैक निपुणः सद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणः त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरण शास्त्रविचारणैकनिपुना तद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणां त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणं श्री चैतन्य कृपा बरौ लोकानां हितकारिणां त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणं करौ आत्मविचारणैकनिपुनं तद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणां त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणं Radha Krishna Radha Krishna Padarabindau Bhajanamritau Radha Krishna Padarabindau Madala Nandela Mattalika Vande Rupa Sanatanam Raghujugal Siji Krishna Kitana Dana Natala Parau Prema Manidhi Veera Veera Janapriya Nirma Udita Sri Chaitanya Kripa Bharau Bhuva Mara Mahanta Rakau Bande Rupa Sanatana Yakudiga
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. On behalf of ISKCON of Richmond, we welcome all the devotees to this very special evening, a very special program. We have a very, very special guest, our very respected His Holiness Hanumatpresaka Swami Maharaj with us back in Richmond. So we are very, very fortunate that Maharaj is almost after a year, he's back in Richmond, and not just virtually, we are meeting virtually. That's unfortunate because of this situation, but we are still feeling very, very happy and fortunate. Maharaj is here in Richmond, and we get to hear from Maharaj. So once again, we have so many devotees from Richmond congregation, and not just Richmond, but other yatras also. I see devotees from Boise, and I'm not sure what other yatras, but welcome, welcome everyone. So those who are on this conference most likely know Maharaj very well. So I won't spend much time, to introduce Maharaj. But because of today's topic, today's discussion, Maharaj is going to lead us into human beings and education, or significance of education in human life. So just for that, I would like to say that His Holiness Hanumatpresaka Swami Maharaj has been doing so many wonderful services to Srila Prabhupada, but one of the most important service Maharaj is rendering to Srila Prabhupada and actually devotees all over the world is education. Maharaj is really propagating this systematic study of Srila Prabhupada's books and our scriptures in so many wonderful ways. Maharaj has been speaker and chief guest and advisor in so many of universities. Also, Maharaj is very, very integral part of ISKCON education ministry. Maharaj is advisor there on various projects, and Maharaj served as editor for the magazine there and in so many different capacities. So Maharaj is serving in the field of education in so many wonderful ways. And today we'll get to hear from Maharaj about the significance of education in human life, especially the spiritual education. So without any further ado, I would like to request Maharaj to please take over, Maharaj, and for next an hour or so, enlighten us on this wonderful topic. Hare Krishna.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, Maharaj, we can hear you clear and loud.
Hello, hello. Testing, testing. This is our Indian system. I will try to share my screen, sir. Oh my God. Okay. Okay. Let me see. Okay, I guess this is. That's pretty good. We'll try that. Okay. Okay. Now I want to go and click that. Zoom. Okay. Okay. So can you be my chief guest?
Yeah, was that Maharaj?
Yeah. So you be the chief guest.
Okay, Maharaj.
Okay. So you can see the screen. Okay. Is it big enough? Should I make it a little bigger?
No, it's very clear, Maharaj. It's pretty good.
Okay. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. You're supposed to respond. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopal Jana Balava Girivaradari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari.
Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana.
Yashodana Nandana Brajajana Ranjana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
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 Gopi Jana Balaba Girivaradari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Yashodnandana Brajajana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Tira Vanachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari.
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 Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Hey, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare.
Hare.
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Shri Sadhu Swami ki jai, Rupa Raghunath ki jai, Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu Nityananda ki jai. Om Narayanam Namaskrityam
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Naram Shaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devyam Sarasvatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayamudiyarayat.
Tato Jayamudiraye.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So here we have Srimad Bhagavatam. Of course, this is database.io, which is, we have the good fortune of initiating Prahlad Nrsingadas. He's the person this was his inspiration, personal inspiration. And by nature, he's a computer fellow. He's from the Czech Republic, and a very, very nice person, nice wife. Yeah. And he's done this wonderful service. And the number of repeat hits and everything else, this is a very, very popular, useful website. So database.io, we go to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, the science of God. Prahlad instructs his demoniac schoolmates. So right in the preface to Srila Prabhupada's Srimad Bhagavatam, which is his life's work. It's the heart of ISKCON. It's the heart of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan on the planet at this moment. And right in the preface, Prabhupada's quoting these verses. So So we can't find anything more important about education than we see right here. So chapter 6, Prahlad instructs his demoniac schoolmates. So a lot of the people here who are in school may have demoniac schoolmates. It doesn't mean they have fangs and horns, but their whole attitude is, let me enjoy at the cost of others. And other people may not have demoniac schoolmates, but you may have demoniac working partners, demoniac associates in there. And so like this, the Kali Yuga, it's so common in the community, in the school, in the workplace, and even the family. We're confronted with different kinds of challenges, like Prahlad Maharaj. But he found some opportunity to present ideas, and this is what he said. Okay, Shriman Divyanam, please repeat. Shri Prahladu Vacha.
Shri Prahladu Vacha.
Komara Achare Prajano.
Komara Acharit Prajano.
Dharman Bhagavataniha.
Bhagavataniha.
Durlabam Manusham Janma.
Durlabam Manusham Janma.
Tadapi Adruvam Artadam.
Tadapi Adruvam Arthadam.
Okay, you chant and we'll respond.
Shri Prahladu Vacha.
Shri Prahladu Vacha.
Komara Acharet Prajno.
Komara Achare Prajno.
Dharman Bhagavataniha.
Dharman Bhagavataniha.
Durlabham Manusham Janma.
Durlabam Manusham Janma.
Tadapi Adruvam Arthadam.
Tadapi Adhuvam Artadam. Shiparad Uvacha, Prahlad Maharaj said, Kumara, in the tender age of childhood. Kumar, Pavanda Kishore, 0 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15. So Kumara is until 5 years old even. Kumara Acharet should practice. Prajnaha, one who is intelligent. Pragyana, one who is intelligent. Dharman, occupational duties. Bhagavatan, which are devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Iha, in this life. Durlabam, very rarely obtained. Manusham, human. Janma, birth. Tat, that. Api, even. Adruvam, impermanent or temporary. Artadam, full of meaning. Okay. Shiparadu Vacha, Acha, Kumara, Acharet, Prajano, Dharman Bhagavata Iha, Durlabam Manusham Janma, Tarapi Adruvam Artadam. So what does Prahlad say to his fellow classmates? What's the first lesson? Prahlad says, one who is sufficiently intelligent should use the human form of body from the very beginning of life. In other words, from the tender age of childhood, to practice the activities of devotional service, giving up all other engagements. The human body is most rarely achieved. And although temporary like other bodies, it is meaningful because in human life, one can perform devotional service. Yeah, one can perform devotional service. Even a slight amount of sincere devotional service can give one complete perfection. Okay, let's skip the purport and right. We'll come back to it, but then go right ahead to the second statement he makes. Okay, please repeat. Yatahi purushasyeha.
Yathahi Purushasheha.
Vishnu Pado Pasharpanam.
Vishnu Pado Pasar
Vishnu
Yadesha Sarva Bhutanam.
Yadesh
Yadesha Sarva Bhutanam
Priya Atmeshvara Suhrit.
Priya
Priya Atmeshvara Sugat.
So many nice Sanskrit words here. Priya, very dear. Atmeshvara, the supreme Atma. Suhrit, well-wisher. Prahlad continued, the human form of life affords one a chance to return home, back to Godhead. Therefore, every living entity, especially in the human form of life, must engage in devotional service to the lotus feet of Vishnu. This devotional service is natural because Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the most beloved, the master of the soul, and the well-wisher of all living beings. And Prabhupada's purports here. The whole purpose of Vedic civilization, of reading the Vedas, is to attain the perfect stage of devotional service in the human form of life. According to the Vedic system, therefore, from the very beginning of life, the brahmacharya system is introduced, so that from one's very childhood, from the age of 5 years, one can practice modifying one's human activities so as to engage perfectly in devotional service. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 2:40, Swalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahato bayat. Even a little advancement on this path, can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Modern civilization, not referring to the verdicts of Vedic literature, is so cruel to the members of human society that instead of teaching children to become brahmacharis, it teaches mothers to kill their children, even in the womb, on the plea of curbing the increase of population. And if by chance a child is saved, he is educated only for sense gratification. Gradually, throughout the entire world, human society is losing interest in the perfection of life. Indeed, men are living like cats and dogs, spoiling the duration of their human lives by actually preparing to transmigrate again to the degraded species among the 8,400,000 forms of life. The Krishna consciousness movement is anxious to serve human society by teaching people to perform devotional service. Okay. My robot's trying to add something. Okay. Which can save a human being from being degraded again to animal life. As already stated by Prahlad Maharaj, Bhagavad Dharma consists of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Shmaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma, Nivedanam, in all the schools, colleges, and universities, and at home. All children and youths should be taught to hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, they should be taught to hear the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, to put them into practice in their lives, and thus become strong in devotional service, free from fear of being degraded to animal life. Following Bhagavad Dharma has been made extremely easy in this age of Kali. Shastras say, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, Kalo Nasteva, Nasteva, Gatir Anyata. One need only chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra everyone engaged in the practice of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra will become completely cleansed from the core of his heart and be saved from the cycle of birth and death. Right. So such a nice purport with so many points that Prabhupada's bringing out. You know, Prahlad Maharaj, of course, is telling, everybody with sufficient intelligence to use the human form of body from the very beginning of life. So this is a challenge, as Prabhupada is saying right away, is that we have sufficient intelligence. When we get a human form of life, human body, then we have intelligence. Of course, there are many, many different species of human beings. There are pygmies. There are very, very undeveloped people in very, very remote parts of the world, in the jungles, and the great mountains and hidden in the mountains and stuff, who have very, very simple and primitive forms of life and activities and social culture and habits of cleanliness and things like this, living on a level of tribal level. But Prabhupada says even amongst them, there's some idea, about a supreme controller, behind everything. I remember my son. He was very small. I don't, maybe I don't know, 3 years old or something. I'm not sure, 4. And I was just becoming a Hare Krishna devotee. And I remember at one point he asked me, who made the animals? It was like who made lunch? Who built that house? It was just like something, he just wanted to know, the animals, they must have been made by somebody. So my first thought that came to my head, because of my hearing and education in the modern educational system, was to explain the theory of evolution. That intelligence popped into my head. But then, because I've been associating with Prabhupada, immediately my intelligence just kind of pushed that away, because there are so many, what would you say, so many fantastic things. We can discuss it later if you want to, within the theory of evolution as it is generally presented to us and to educated people in general, like that. So this my response was then coming this from having heard from Prabhupada. I just kind of spontaneously said, some guy named Brahma. And that was all. He didn't ask any more questions. He didn't know what I know about Brahma. Just, okay, yeah. My mother makes my lunch. I see men, across the street building a house, and some guy named Brahma, he made the animals. It makes the most sense. So of course, in science, we have Occam's razor, which is in general, let us just try and adopt the most simple explanation of things. So the scientists use that, because we use it too. Here's the most simple explanation: is everywhere we see somebody creating things. So this is human intelligence. A dog has some intelligence. He has some social responsibility. He has different activities from his karma. Some dogs marry for life. They're more chaste than human beings. They have responsibilities in their society. Other animals, actually, a fair amount. But usually it doesn't extend too much beyond like a few moments or some kind of general understanding. But human being, we can actually take advantage of the culture from different different communities that go before us. Bharate bhumite hoile manusha janma yar janma sartika kara parakara upakar. Okay. If you've taken your birth in the land of Bharatvarsha, India, okay, as a human being, then you should take advantage of this and make yourself perfect with the cultural assets you've got, and then help others. So a very big responsibility there, but also other people too. Online now, there are also people here from the Hispanic culture, from South America, from Peru. And if you happen to take birth in one of these, for example, Hispanic cultures, they have very, very wonderful cultural heritage of drama, poetry, literature, and some of the finest literature and poetry on the planet. You know, and beyond that, of course, it very much tied in with the very, very cultured system of the Catholic Church, which has very, very nice traditions of saints and the scriptural basis. You know, yeah. Of course, we're saying that India has a very special, clear potency, you know, which is able to help other people. Okay. You know this, we have heard this before, we've said it before. So in the European heaven, the British are the police, the Germans are the mechanics. This is the European heaven. The French are the lovers, the Swiss are the judges, and the Italians are the police. Okay. So no, the Italians are the cooks. There we go. Okay. In the European hell, the British are the cooks, the Germans are the police, the Swiss are the lovers, the French are the mechanics, and the Italians are the judges. Okay. So every country has some particular, you know, potency or opulence, which it should share with other people. So India, of course, India is the land of philosophy in so many ways. And here we have the best of that in terms of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada is presenting Bhagavad Gita. It's basic knowledge. And then it has to be presented in different kinds of formats, literature, ideas. You know, Prabhupada told the devotees to go out in the street, you know, wherever you can go. You can probably say go to door. Well, now we can go web page to web page, blog to blog. You know, whatever it is, whatever facility is being presented. And he said you should do dramas, you know. So you can do, for example, Bird in the Cage. And people are going by on the street here and there, and all of a sudden you blow some trumpet or, you know, pop something and some paper pops in the air or something, you know, people stop and kind of look, you know. Okay. And then you have a nice stick with some big thick yarn or rope tied to it. And then you raise up another one above that. And so between the two sticks, you have a nice with a horizontal vertical ropes, maybe like 6 or 8 of them. Okay. And there's colors colored or something. So people start to stop. We have to create some interest, put it in their language, their culture. What is this? You know? And then you start explaining, okay, you know, people have a little bit of costumes. So there's somebody in the cage and he can have around the waist, you know, a few tail feathers and a little cone on the nose. And he's kind of squawking for a little bit. Doesn't take a lot. You say, once upon a time, there was a very, very rich lady. Okay. And she heard a very, very nice sound in one store. And so she bought, you know, a very, very beautiful cage that she saw there. And she took it to her house and showed it to all of her friends. And the beautiful music was coming out and she was very proud. You know? But after some time, there began to be some bad smell and the music didn't sound so good. And finally it died, even though she polished the cage and did so many things. Okay. So of course, this is the story of the bird within the cage. You know, for living entity who is meant to fly through the air and, you know, and live in the celestial world with the kingdom of God. This whole material world is a prison. Everybody talks about that. You know? And specifically, every body is a prison. You know? So we have to take care of the body, you know, keep it clean, these kind of things. That's part of our service, you know, so that the bird inside won't fly away or be lost or be confused or be attacked or be hurt. But if we don't take care of the bird within the body, then it will, you know, everything will stop. All the art, all the culture, all the romance, all the excitement, everything will stop. You know? And of course, Prabhupada is saying, hearing and chanting about Krishna, Vishnu, that's the essence of all these things. So Srila Prabhupada gave us Bhagavad Gita, which is a very basic story, and we take basic ideas from it and put it into modern language, little dramas to explain points. And then beyond that, of course, Srimad Bhagavatam has so many stories. Like you hear the story of Prahlad Maharaj. And again, you can put the story of Prahlad Maharaj into very modern circumstances. He could be Peter, Peter or something, and his father can be, so the CEO of the most powerful bank in the world. There you go, CEO of the most powerful bank in the world. Yeah. And right away, he could belong to an exclusive boys' school, very posh boys' school, and dress people up. And then you do it like that, and immediately, there's some interest in the story, and you can imagine in all the different pastimes, he tries to kill him in different ways. Okay, so this is the process, and when we hear these stories, which are coming from purified devotees, so many in ISKCON, senior devotees. When I joined, it was Jayananda was there. What else? And Hansaduda, and Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj. So many very senior disciples of Prabhupada in good consciousness. And Jayananda told us that Prabhupada said, if you just go on chanting Hare Krishna, you will see pastimes which you never read in any of my books. One time Prabhupada was in Los Angeles, and the devotees were organizing, I think it was Los Angeles, the kidnapping of Rukmini. Okay. And so Prabhupada was watching it. They were doing a good job, and Prabhupada was, as an audience member, was enthusing them, his action. So it came to the time that Krishna took Rukmini onto his chariot, and he was going to try to escape with her. So then Prabhupada just stood up right in the drama and enthusiasm, and he said, and she took the reins of the chariot. She took the cords for driving the horses, and started driving the horses. I can imagine some young girl just she taking the reins from her husband and showing him, okay, this is the kind of girl you got, like that. I'm a Kshatriya girl. You shoot your arrows at these rascals who are trying to kidnap me and take me away from you, and I'll drive these horses. Yeah. So you can see right away that, but that's not in the Krishna book. It's not in the Krishna book. So Prabhupada, Leela Shmarana Swarup. This is the form that Krishna gave to the Brijbasis when he left Vrindavan. He gave them a more intimate form when he went to Mathura. He gave them Leela Shmarana Swarup, the form of constantly meditating upon his pastimes, which become more and more enriched. So Prabhupada was describing this. Somebody's microphone's open there. Better close your microphone. Mm-hmm. So this is what we've got. We've got so many basic stories, and then we can adjust them in so many ways and chant Hare Krishna, not disturb the essence of the thing. And simultaneously, as we become more purified, we can really feel this is what is actually happening like that. We can actually come in contact with Krishna that way. So, any questions or comments at this point about these kind of topics? Because we can go on talking for a long time here. This is a basic idea. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. Then, of course, Prabhupada is describing the contrast and what's actually happening. That people are being, killed in abortion, by so many, methods. It becomes such a demoniac civilization, a terrible place. And then the education is completely for sense gratification. As we remember, we were hearing that Mother Aruda and Anantarup, they moved to Boise, Idaho. I have no association. There's no Gurukula here. Okay, they were in the same situation. They had to, start with whatever they had. They were surrounded by demoniac schoolmates, work people. So Boise is very, very predominated by Mormon culture, which has many good things. One is there's actually within Mormon community, actually a strong vegetarian aspect to it. So in the school, the teachers, many of the students were small children, were Mormon. And as we understand, Mother Aruda was talking to the teacher, a nice young lady, and she understood, okay, the boys are vegetarian, and okay, I'll make sure that they don't, get anything from their classmates, and we have a snack at this time. And so she would show up and have something for them, and maybe enough to share other kids. And it wasn't so bad, and they were getting their basic technical education. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. What else? 1 and 1 is 2, 2 and 2 is 5, 7 and 8 is 9. Okay. They were learning basic principles of education. But what she saw was that they were becoming little fruity workers. The teacher wasn't even thinking about it. Just that we're all very deep level within our heart. We're all trained to think you do something to get something for you, for your sense gratification, for the glorification of your sense gratification, for the vehicle of your sense gratification, for the impressions of it, evaluation of it. Think good of yourself, your body, your position, your clothes. Okay, if you're good, I'll put a star beside your name. Okay, so they were starting to become unconsciously, fruity workers. But we're concerned with devotional service, doing something for Krishna, because it makes Krishna happy. So there's so many different aspects to this, but it's the complete opposite. And to meet somebody, we suspect that Srila Prabhupada is a pure devotee. He's not doing it for any kind of fame or profit. But we have to investigate that. And there's so much facility to investigate A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. They're the people who are following him, following his process, following associating with him, associating with devotees who associated with him. And so we have very, very good opportunity now to investigate A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, the book, the literature, and from his books directly, he's there personally. And as we do that, we begin to appreciate more and more that he has no selfish motive. I think it was Srinathji. He said he was associating with Prabhupada in Bombay for many years, several years. And he said he tried so many ways to see if Prabhupada had some kind of, selfishness in his character. He said, it's like when you're in business, you're always trying to look and see what is the character of the people you're competing with, and what are their motivations, so you can use that for your purposes. And he went on, and he said he just could not find any greediness or selfishness in Prabhupada's character. Yes, he wanted things, but he really wanted them for Krishna. And he knew Krishna wasn't fundamentally in the Bhagavad Gita. And then he began to know Krishna in different, leelas and pastimes. So he said, finally he became convinced that Prabhupada did not have any selfish motive. So we're all being trained in a school to live like cats and dogs, But we have somehow or other we come in contact, and Krishna always arranges this. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata avyutanam adharmasyam avyutanam adharmasyam tadatmanam. Krishna is always coming again and again. He's coming every day, again and again, every hour, every minute. He's always very attentive to trying to get us to get on the boat, follow the process, and get out of this world. And of course, within a few hours, Ram Navami is occurring. Today's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So 4 days. That's a little bit over 100 hours are left before Lord Ram appears, and a great opportunity. What an opportunity! It happens once a year, and Krishna incarnates as Ramchandra to teach a certain kind of lesson, to approach us from a certain kind of angle, like that. And so all of us can take some advantage of Ramachandra's incarnation, but especially it's for Grihastha. Grihastha ashram, to show people, what is ideal Grihastha life and what the situation is. And of course, the ideal is pretty discouraging. Okay, but they all live properly. Sita, who can set a better example of a lady than Sita, and how she handled herself? And who can set a better example of a husband who took care of his wife, Sita. And in the end, okay, they even still, there was such criticism of her that Ram, as the king, had to make a big public show of banishing her. So all the ladies in the kingdom all the women in the kingdom would act like ladies. My goodness, if that's what happens to Sita, what'll happen to us? So we better be more careful with our habits and our dealings. So Krishna's coming again and again. And next verse here, let's read the last verse here. Prabhupada said, Yatahi Purushashaya. The human form of life, Prahlad tells his students. So first off, you're talking to your co-workers during lunchtime, and saying, "Hey, you're all smart guys, everything else, and girls, yeah. And come on, you're philosophically inclined. You have some idea here, and so you can see that this being a human being means more than this, more than that. And Krishna will empower you if you're following properly chanting. He'll send innocent people who are innocent in certain moments in their life, and then you can explain these basic principles. What is this material world, and how we're not satisfied unless we're serving Krishna. Okay. He says the human form of life affords one a chance to return home, back to Godhead. Yes, yes. Therefore, every living entity, especially in the human form of life, must engage in devotional service to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. This devotional service is natural because Lord Vishnu, the supreme personality of Godhead, is the most beloved master of the soul and the well-wisher of all living beings. And Prabhupada goes on and says, the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 5:29, okay, close our eyes here and chant this. Bhoktaram yagnata pasyam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhidam sarvabhutanam yatvam shantim rechati. Okay, so here's the three features of obtaining peace. Okay, we have to know that Krishna is the enjoyer of all sacrifice. If you want to go to school and get an education and not be a donkey, okay, you have to sacrifice. If you want to become the mother of nice kids, you got to sacrifice. If you want to maintain your family and go to work and be successful and do something for your society, you've got to sacrifice. But who's the enjoyer of all those sacrifices? Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Yeah? And Krishna is the proprietor of everything. Okay, not that I am the proprietor of this or that or that. No, it's all belongs to Krishna. And he's everybody's best friend. Maharaj Bharata was trying to be the best friend of a little deer. Oh, don't think of God. I'm your best friend. Adam and Eve ate the apple. Okay, and now she's going to have to leave the Garden of Eden and go to work and all these things. And so Adam was thinking, oh my gosh, who will take care of her? I'm her best friend. So he took a bite out of the apple also for that reason, not because he was lusty or something. No, he was thinking, no, I'm everybody's best friend. So Krishna is everybody's best friend. He's the controller, he's the enjoyer. Yeah, but right along with that, he's everybody's best friend. So whatever we offer to him, he's going to offer it back 5 or 6 times. He's going to share it properly. The sages who know me as the ultimate purpose of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor of all and well-wisher of all living entities, attain peace from the pangs of material miseries. Yes, yes, they do. Simply by understanding these 3 facts. Lord Vishnu, proprietor of creation, best well-wishing friend, supreme enjoyer of everything, one becomes peaceful and happy. For this transcendental happiness, the living entity is wandering throughout the universe in different forms of life and different planetary systems. But because he has forgotten his intimate relationship with Vishnu, he has merely suffered life after life. Therefore, the educational system in the human form of life should be so perfect that one will understand his intimate relationship with God or Vishnu. Every living entity has an intimate relationship with God. Oh yeah? Yeah, everybody. Even the most strange, angry, cruel people. One should therefore glorify the Lord in the adoration of Shantaras, or revive his eternal relationship with Vishnu as Dasyaras, a servant, as a servant in Dasyaras, a friend in Sakyaras, a parent in Vatsalyaras, or a conjugal lover in Madhuryaras. All these relationships are on the platform of love. Vishnu is the center of love for everyone, and therefore the duty of everyone is to engage in the loving service of the Lord. As stated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavatam 3:25-38. Yesham aham priya atma sutash cha sakha guruhu suhrido daivam ishtam. In any form of life, we are related with Vishnu, who is the most beloved, the super soul, son, friend, and guru. Our eternal relationship with God can be revived in the human form of life. And that should be the goal of education. Indeed, that is the perfection of life and the perfection of education. So we're doing a lot of these programs in different aspects like that. And one person, Hector Behar, he's a professor on several different universities in Peru. He was a part of the whole military conflict in Peru when big capitalist corporations and inspiring so much exploitation of people, horrible, the degree to which this exploitation, as we understand, was going on. So he was there as one of Che Guevara's generals and so many things. Very, very, very intelligent, excellent person. Even now producing histories, writing very big books, researched on history and everything else, which are just incredible quality and perception and depth. So okay, he was talking about this in terms of education and the sacred, and talking about how, as Prabhupada was saying, the school system is actually in many ways one of the biggest hindrances towards becoming educated. It's geared towards whatever education is mostly towards technique, Shudra activities, but there's almost nothing in terms of character development or higher intelligence or social feelings and things like that. So this is becoming more and more degraded. So in the middle of all this, how can we educate ourselves? Okay, as we're becoming educated, how can we educate our classmates? How can we educate our children? How can we educate our families, our parents? And so many different efforts. Of course, Prabhupada, tried to establish the Ministry of Education, and then tried to, still going on, to try and develop different kinds of systematic approaches to this, to dealing with these things that happen. Because people do grow up, they do go through different stages in life, and so then the education can also be systematic. Of course, the basic system is Varna Ashram. Some time as a student, and then sometime within the active activity of economic development, political activities, everything else. And of course, if you're sufficiently intelligent, you can go directly into sannyas or vanaprastha ashram. But if not, then you go through you try it out, and then like Arjuna and the Pandavas, okay, and like Ram, Sita. And then we go ahead in vanaprastha life, where we start to minimize, and husband and wife are associating and maybe visiting the family, everything else. And of course, in the current age, that this is quite understandable in civilized, industrialized countries about, the parents turning over the house and everything else to their children, and maybe giving the master bedroom to their kids. Okay, now you guys are in charge. You move out of your house. Okay, move out of your room. We remodeled the entire bathroom and everything else. And here's our gift to you. And now we're going to take charge of your bedroom now. And so when we're visiting, we can stay there, and you can, if you want us to come and visit, oh, we want you to come. We need your help. Okay, we will. But we're also going to visit your cousins, and we're also going to go stay in a little ashram in India and associate with devotees. Okay, vanaprast. There's nyasa, there's renunciation. But then sannyasa, complete renunciation. Then the wife becomes a civil widow, and husband becomes a civil dead man. And of course, this is possible within ISKCON. Such an incredible opportunity like that possible. So that's just a kind of a general summary. Anybody have any final questions or comments here? It's already 7 o'clock. I'm not sure how we should. Do we stop at 7 o'clock exactly? Are we German?
No, Maharaj, we can take questions. So
Comments.
Comments, yes. So devotees can unmute themselves and ask question if you have any. Maharaj. Maharaj, I have a question.
Okay.
So Maharaj, how you so beautifully explained about, gave a comparative understanding of this modern education system versus this system or education coming from Bhagavatam, which is really, really important for a human life to be successful.
Yes.
So Maharaj, my question is that, as we are not, as we are in a practicing stage, I'm talking about parents being in a practicing stage and not completely surrendered, we have this fear sometimes that, of how our kids, our children gonna, take up the responsibilities. And that's why we, most of the time we put them into this modern education system, because that's what it promises, as you mentioned, and which is kind of a fear in the heart. And then also sometimes, the parents do not feel fully capable of giving this education, as they are also in the practicing stage. So Maharaj, in that situation, what can we do as parents and, give proper education, like you mentioned in case of Aruda Mataji also, if you can give us some.
Again, well, why do we have 18,000 verses in Srimad Bhagavatam? Yeah, because there are so many different, kinds of people, and they're different ages and their development and their lives. And it's expanded with Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat, and so the it's not like there's just kind of this. What can we say? You actually asked several questions there. Okay, one is that we're at different stages of our own development. We're at different stages of our own education. So yeah, we can become teachers. That's pretty much this is the age of Kali. So the process is Sankirtan. That's the process. In my experience, it's often easier to sell 5 books than it is to sell 1 book. Because if you're trying to distribute 1 book to people, then they're thinking in terms of jnana. Oh, what can I learn this? Will I learn, is this useful for me? If it's a book I'm supposed to learn. No, this is not the age of jnana. But if you say, hey, check these books out, take a few for your friends and family like that, then they're thinking, analyzing in terms of Sankirtan. Well, let me look at this. And I think about my friends, my family, and giving and that kind of stuff. And this would be useful. And even though they may not like it, they should have something like this. Okay, I'll take a few. Okay. So it's just whatever we're learning, we're learning to teach. Okay. So whether we're in the first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, 15th grade, 37th grade, whatever grade we're in, we're learning to teach, especially age of calling. So there's no, as soon as we're honest, if somebody tells you, oh, you can't be satisfied with a vegetarian meal, you're going to think the guy is a moron. You see, you never have had a good vegetarian meal, have you? Yeah, some of my friends were vegetarians. They had salad with carrots, and okay. Hey, come on. So something, and so that's all we're talking about. Whatever we know, and from chanting and different things like that, the effects of chanting a mantra, the effects of kirtan. You associated with different professors, and you're not on their level, but you can see, well, yeah, I can see how he did it. I can do that. Yeah, okay. And so I would say the first answer is that we're qualified to teach, and we shouldn't try to teach beyond our level. And beyond that, we can tell people. One of Prabhupada, what's his name? Sridhar Maharaj, Prabhupada's godbrother, very advanced in many things like that, and somebody was asking him about these advanced questions, and he said, advanced books about Krishna's dealings with Radharani and all these things, and he said, Baba, those things are way beyond me. I put them up on the altar in a golden box and pay my obeisances to those things. Because as far as I'm concerned, I think I'm on the right path. Okay, so we can just tell people I've come in contact with these nice people, these books, and this is what I found out. And so far, it really seems like I've never found anything better than this. So that's, again, this teaching according to your level, and then introducing people to whom you also beginning to have faith. And it may very well be that the people you're meeting are more qualified than you are. Actually, that Bhaktisiddhanta said that's our attitude. He said everybody you meet is going to be more intelligent, more qualified, more honest, more sincere. The only thing you have to offer them are the words of your spiritual master. These were his sannyasis when they were going out preaching. So yeah, then we're just trying to give people, say, you try it out. So Damodar Maharaj said that was his whole thing. He would bring big scientists. Now, these are big people. Got the name of the guy now. One person, he was really big. And actually, in one of his stories, he was one of the biggest. Gregory Benford. You may even know his name. He's one of the biggest science fiction writers in the history of the world. Gregory Benford won the Nebula Award or something. So in one of his books, he's talking about a character who goes and sees a yogi in Los Angeles. And you could see, I wrote about this exactly. It was his experience when Maharaj took him to visit Prabhupada, and it's very intense in terms of communicating, a higher perspective. So that's the first thing, is to teach according to your level, and then other people you can direct them in a different way, and we do our best. What was the other part of your question there?
That Maharaj, we still have this fear that, how will they take up the responsibilities when they grow up in terms of, earning and all that. So that's why we generally put our kids in this modern education system, and then that really, traps, this whole education thing.
There's, again, that's a very good question. And so we're not opposed to this. It's a, we're talking about this with Subal and everything else. The technology changes so quickly. When I was growing up as I was studying engineering about 1965, 66, 67, 68, and they were saying that whatever education we're giving you will be obsolete within 7 years. For example, I was learning how to build AM radios with 12 AU7 dual pentode vacuum tubes. Dinosaur. Transistors were just coming in. At that point, yeah. And some other things again about circuit boards, a little bit of a hint, but many options. So the material education, Prabhupada said, this is not knowledge. This is shilpa, livelihood. within any field. If you're a psychologist, you got to learn these techniques. If you're administration, there's so many, Shudra information, little middle techniques that you have to learn. You need to learn, and it's changing all the time. Dukalayam ashashvatam. So yeah, we're not opposed to this. We're completely in favor of these kind of things. But in the school, are they emphasizing this to the point where it's stupid? I mean, so many teachers I know, you talk to them, they say we could teach this stuff, twice as fast. We're directly encouraged by the school to slow down and make it stupid. I can start quoting professors directly. That we know we could do a much better job and faster and everything else. And he said, but they don't want us to do that. One big professor was next in Boise. He said, American education is not education, it's stupidification. We're trying to make people philosophically and prospectively dull and stupid by just burying them in all kinds of useless facts, information, which they don't need, and in the end, which will actually, they can't even do their job as well as they could. So that's our objection. We're not opposed, and if it's a matter of creative adjustment. The Ministry of Education, I'm retired basically from all these things. I've only got a few more minutes to live. So advice from many people has been, now it's time to start consolidating. So we're going through that, and as our consolidation, our aim is to try and in the end produce maybe five 1-hour videos, which will deal with interfaith dialogue, science and the Vedas, all the stuff we've done, kind of consolidate it and talk with the different people we've been involved with and other new people. And okay, here's our perspective. Here's what we've been able to understand. And then now we're leaving, we're passing this on. So that's my stage in life. I've learned this. Now it's time for me to start doing this thing about consolidating, not doing new projects and everything else. So I retired from the Ministry of Education as an administrator. I retired from the Latin American GBC as an administrator. And yeah, it does afford more time and everything else to do this kind of work. So that's what I would say, is we're not at all opposed to this kind of stuff. And so, yeah, find good schooling, find good technical knowledge, and start using your brain to figure out, this is stupid. Why do my kids have to learn basic? Why do my kids have to? Yeah, this is, you don't need these things. And so, private schools, public schools, getting together and adjusting it somehow or other. That's all we're suggesting. We're not suggesting that you have to have a gurukula or something and everybody becomes, useless Brahmins. No. Go ahead, everybody, get trained in technical education, but understand that it's just a small part. A small part. Is that a little perspective on your question?
Yes, absolutely, Maharaj. That was very helpful. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, wow, we need to produce an incredible educational perspective. You can be. I don't know how it goes on like that. Why this whole thing is Shukla is, within 5 years we could be in charge of the state school board, like that. The curriculum is set by people. The books are picked by people. Hey, why aren't we doing it? Why aren't we creating a fast track, within the state educational system, which allows for people like our kids and other who are interested in getting that kind of education, fun, coming at Harvard and places like this. The best schools are fun. They're teaching people to use creativity and intelligence far superior to what's going on in public school systems usually.
Okay, so Maharaj, is it okay if we can take more questions if anyone would like to ask?
Leon Macduff, and damn be him who calls whole enough. See, you don't know Shakespeare. What kind of man are you? You don't know Shakespeare.
Okay, so I didn't understand, but I guess Maharaj is saying yes. We can take more questions.
What I'm saying is, you start asking questions, and I'll answer. And okay. To hell with him. To hell with him who stops answering questions first, or to hell with him who stops answering first. Whoever said enough. Yeah. We're going to be here for 7 days and 7 nights.
Okay, so I can see if anyone would like to comment or ask question to Maharaj at this point. Okay, so I guess not. At this point, on behalf of all the devotees, there are so many devotees from different yatras, Maharaj, on this conference. On behalf of all of them, we would like to express our gratitude to you for this wonderful, invaluable lesson about education and life.
Hare Krishna.
Oh,
Sorry to be early. I was having a question and then my headphones were not coming off.
no.
I'm so sorry.
No. I've been fighting myself, Subal, your daughter. We've been fighting with the labor-saving devices all day long. We've got almost, I mean, literally almost nothing got done because we're fighting with these labor-saving devices. You know?
Guru Maharaj, if it's okay, can I ask one question?
You can ask 2 questions if you want to. It's okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Guru Maharaj, how do you battle with envy or jealousy? Like, it's not right to envy anybody. It's not right to be jealous of anybody. Immediately when a thought comes, and like I would say, Krishna, no, everybody is Krishna's child. No, I should not be envious or I should not be jealous. But then I'm concerned about the thought even coming in the first place. How do we even curb that thought?
Okay, a vision is coming into my mind. I know who you were in your last lifetime. You were a great Naga princess. You were a great and powerful and poisonous snake.
Could be true, Maharaj. I have certain affinity for.
and I was your cousin. Yeah, okay. But that's the basic answer. Prabhupada says we come to this human form of life after hundreds of, what did he say? I think he said hundreds of millions. I mean, how many times have we been bacteria? How many times have we been COVID virus? And the COVID virus lives a short time. Even the COVID virus have little viruses that harass it. This is a material world. And so that's the first thing, is that we're coming into these situations with a tremendous amount of emotional, things. Even if we're taking Carl Jung's perspective and looking at it as maybe we were human beings in our last lifetime, but we're bringing so much karma with us. And it's like the same way. If a human being, the senses react to certain things, a certain stimulation. If I throw something at your face, your hands are going to come up before you can even think about it. You'll be surprised. It puts you in a dangerous situation where you or some children are in danger. You'll be surprised at what comes out of you. Surprised. So all these things are there. So that's the first situation, is to understand that it's not really us. The very fact that you're beginning to not want to do it, there is some feeling of separation. So there's some goodness in our character. Okay, thank God for that. Then be a little proud we did something to deserve it. And then by devotional service increasing, And so beyond that, then following Prabhupada, one of the answers is how do we not be envious? And Prabhupada would look at you very seriously and say, by not being envious. Okay. So use your free will. We can do that. We can, you can control your mind, different things like that. Then beyond that, the next level is usually we're in a level of Vaidhi Bhakti, where there's techniques and practices and, and that kind of stuff. So in Vaidhi Bhakti, one technique that Prabhupada suggested, as I heard from the president, is that if you have envy towards people, and of course it's going by, okay, it's just the weather's going by, things are happening, and this, many cases we just chant Hare Krishna and let them go by. I'm envious. I'm envious of somebody walking in the street because she has a very pretty hat. Okay, wow, her hat is really nice. So even laugh at our mind and consider how stupid, Okay, but then some things are, like I said, a little serious, more ongoing, and more part of our life. So you see somebody, then you try and see, well, what is their service to God? Okay, maybe it's very indirect. Maybe they're working in the water department or something, something like that. But if they're more closely related to you, then you begin to understand like more how they're doing things and everything else. And so try and help them. Okay. I mean, in the material world, so many people you come in contact with are trying to make money. And you begin to understand, well, why is that? And you see, well, because they're afraid, because this and that. And the more you try to help them make money, as a devotee, then automatically you begin to see who they are. And your envy goes away, because for one thing, you realize that these people are so unfortunate. How on earth am I envious of them? Yeah. They're terrified, they're suffering. There's nothing to envy here. So the main principle is that always trying to see, everybody, and specifically, okay, this person brings the vegetables in to the temple. There's something, the thing, I'm going to help them. Prabhu, can I help you carry the vegetables in? Oh yeah, thank you. There's a lot. And by doing that, you'll see your mind and intelligence, they become changed by trying to help somebody do something. So that's what I would suggest. Is that helpful?
Yes, Maharaj. Very, very helpful.
Okay.
Can I ask one more question?
Oh yeah. We got this pact here. We're going over 7 days and 7 nights.
So, Maharaj, when we are in the corporate setting, so sometimes the confusion that I have is when I go to work, sometimes I want to give in my best at work, because sometimes I'm like, Krishna has given me this opportunity. I should try to do my best in whatever I'm given with, in the circumstances that I'm given with. But I do know that if I do my best, then I would be rewarded and I would be taken up to the next level. So if I do that, then I'm entangling myself more. Then that means the responsibilities are more. So how do you balance that? Like how do you I don't know, like would it be okay to kind of like underwork, like compromise on your work, so that I don't know how to tread that situation, Guru Maharaj. So
in the morning you should get up early. Okay. A Brahmin works from 2 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock in the morning. Okay. And that's when all the banks open, the businesses open, everything else. I'm giving a rough example here. Okay, then the Vaishyas and the Kshatriyas, they all work from 10 o'clock in the morning until 6 p.m. Then the 6 p.m. is the happy hour for the fools. Oh, I don't have to work anymore. Now I can start taking my favorite beverages that make me more and more stupid. Yeah. And then a fool works from 6 o'clock in the evening until 2 o'clock in the morning, and goes home like that. Yeah. So basic principle is get up early, chanting, hearing, so much to do, right? Some preaching program, writing letters, And so by the time the mode of passion comes, we involve in the mode of passion, we have a really, really good foundation. It's just like Arjuna. Krishna did not give Arjuna a secret weapon like that, something from the pyramids in Egypt or something. He gave him intelligence. He gave him perspective. They talked about it. He got it straightened out. And he had to do it again, too, because Arjuna became confused. So the basic attitude is, Bhoktaram Yagatapa Shlam. Okay, then if you do a good morning program, nice Gurvastaka, chanting it, understanding what the words mean, sing, you start developing it, become better and better at it. Then when it comes time for the mode of passion, when it comes, okay, then it's both feet on the ground. Now we're going to make money. Or for Arjuna, I can't even say what probably he said in the mixed company. Okay, now it's time to get out there and blah, 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 Yeah. And he would turn his anger loose, turn all these things loose. But in his heart, he knew who he was. He knew why he was doing it and everything else. Never forgot that perspective. So very, very good, solid program in the morning, and there's no substitute. Yeah, then you can go and you can kill what is it, for 420 million people in 18 days if you have to, like that. Yeah, whatever, you can make money. Okay, but here's like what you're talking about. Here's the trick, because many times it's the same thing. Is the system is not educating you to become materially successful. The system is educating you to become materially exploited. Yeah. And the same way that the school, yeah, and the same way the system is not exploiting you to become profitable. And everybody knows usually the next step up is not a step up. Yeah. It's a step where now we're going to give you a big title and a room, and we're going to make you work 3 times as hard for 2/3 the money. I mean, isn't it fact? I mean, your bosses and everything else are smoking, everything else are going nuts. They're working. I hear from business people, you're working, well, we give you flexi hours at this point. You haven't got to go 9 to 5. Yeah, what that means is instead of working 40 hours a week, you're working 60 hours a week. Yeah. And because now we get the results and so on. So that's what I would say. Again, it's you've got to use your intelligence. Chanika Pandit says, the tall, straight trees are the first ones to get cut down. So in one's ordinary dealings, it's good to look a little bit twisted. So if it comes time to hide your abilities from people who are going to exploit them and use you in the wrong way, yeah, you do so many things and watch for opportunities. If your service is making a lot of money, if you're a Vaishya or something like that, do it. If your service is acquiring political power and influence, do it. If your service is being basically, Shudra and make some money to maintain, then you do it in a simple way. And along with that, of course, we're always then concerned about the real purpose of life. And there's so many opportunities in that situation, and to influence people, to by your publicists, by your comportment, and by your smile, and by your music. Those 3 things, they're powerful preaching tools. People will start asking you for, what's that music there? What is that? Can I have a little bit of that? Can I put that on can you copy that on my USB drive? Yeah. Yeah. And who knows how rapidly things will change. Yeah. So it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much.
What is your job? Is your job to become very rich, famous, powerful?
No, I'm like none of those things, Guru Maharaj. I mean, genuinely none of those things.
What are you? What are you supposed to do in life?
So I'm a product owner at work. So it's more sort of working with some tech teams, building some software, like things of that nature. Unfortunately, Maharaj, I am deemed as one of those creative people. So I tend to give ideas a lot, and then I'm in that phase of life. I don't know how long it will last, but I'm in that phase of life where people are liking me, and I'm genuinely worried about it.
Yeah, you should be. You should be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be nice to the people you meet. Be nice to the people you meet on the way up, because you'll meet them again on the way down.
Yeah. So I'm genuinely worried about that. I can sense that this is just a flash of a moment. But then again, how do you not give your best? Like,
no, you do. We do. Krishna says, among men I am the monarch. Among fish I am the shark. Among the lions, the animals, I am the lion. I heard Prabhupada glorifying a 747 one time, and I was thinking about how wonderful they were. And I was thinking, oh, this is Maya. But then Prabhupada was appreciating how wonderful it was, how beautiful it was. But then I understood, wow, Krishna must be really incredible. So that's it. There's nothing wrong with this, and making a beautiful company. And I mean, how many people in the company want to do something where they feel they've actually contributed something more than, they've contributed something to society, And even the demons know when our employees feel like they're contributing something to society, they'll work harder. We can exploit them. So if you're getting that element, then people feel, why are you so happy? Because I see this is going to help people. You're right. I was thinking the same thing. So always keep the broad perspective, and like you say, this, things will go up, things will go down, they'll go back and forth. But then as devotees, then we become more and more clever in dealing with them. And you can train the next generation to be even more clever. Prabhupada said, if you follow the principles strictly and your children follow them strictly, your grandchildren will be traveling on flying carpets. So when is the Hare Krishna football team going to win the world soccer championship? It'll come down to the Hindus versus the Mohammedans. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Jai Bhagavan, Jai Bhagavan. And everybody will be very, very happy, whoever wins. Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay.
So just before we close, we want to make a couple of announcements. Tomorrow is going to be a very special day. Maharaj will be awarding second initiation to a few devotees here in Richmond. And that's a very auspicious ceremony and will be available online. So we'll be having a Zoom meeting. So actually I'm sending the Zoom link in the chat box for everyone. If you would like to join, please save this link. And tomorrow, Saturday at 4 p.m., we will start the ceremony. So Maharaj will be giving an initiation lecture, and then which will be followed by a little yagya and kirtan, of course. So please join us tomorrow. And before that, in the morning, as many of you already participated, I'm just quickly going to share my screen. So we will be continuing our 4-part Ram Navami festival series or Sri Ramayan series. So we already had crossing the river and crossing the mountain with Lord Ramachandra. And tomorrow we'll be discussing crossing the ocean with Lord Ramachandra by His Grace Adi Gadadhar Prabhu. So the program starts at 10 EST. So please join us for that. So with that, once again, Maharaj, we are very, very grateful. Thank you very much for the wonderful discussion. And thank you to all the devotees for participating. Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you for hosting us here. It's been such a wonderful experience in 24 hours. Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj. Jai His Holiness Hanumatpresaka Swami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.